So here's something pretty cool. This is a instrument cluster out of a 2005 Pontiac Bonneville GXP. The Bonneville GXP was actually introduced, I believe, in 2004, and that was the first GXP from Pontiac that was available. Obviously, the Grand Prix was available in 2005, and then they had all different variations on cars like the G8 and G6 and so on. But anyway, this is the Bonneville GXP instrument cluster. I've had this for going on probably about 8 years now. It's always been hanging up in my garage, and that's kind of why it's a little bit dirty. I got it out of a kind of like a U-pull and save deal, where I went to a junkyard and I just happened to be walking by and saw that this Bonneville, this 2005 Bonneville, was sitting there. And I really badly wanted the instrument cluster. To my surprise, they only charged me 20 bucks for it. And a working instrument cluster is at least $100 on eBay. So I think I got a good deal. But anyway, I've got the wiring diagram for this thing. I thought it'd be cool to fire it up and see if it works, because, well, never actually powered it up. Don't have a Bonneville to power it up and test it. I just wanted the cluster. So I went ahead and wired it up, and here we go. Let me turn the lights off here in a second. We'll do that again with the lights off. So there you have it. It's pretty neat. Obviously there's no computer hooked up to it, so I'm not getting any data from it as far as things like, well, what the gauges display, like oil and tack and so on. Now the voltage gauge does work, so it's basically just voltage in, and I can actually turn the voltage down to 12 volts. There's 10 volts right there, so I can move that around. So it's just pulling battery voltage is all that is in order for that gauge to actually work. I did notice it's off a little bit. Right here is 14 volts on my power supply, but it's actually just shy of 14. So again, in order to make it dead center, about right there, it's 14.6 volts. So it's off by a little bit, but no big deal. I don't really care. Just something to talk about. But anyway, the only DIC errors that actually come up are the service airbag and low engine coolant. And I think there was low washer fluid as well that came up once. So it's kind of interesting how those are triggered even without. And I kind of wonder if maybe when this thing was pulled, it had low engine coolant and an airbag issue, and those are the two that are stored in it. I'm honestly not sure. I haven't looked too close. I'm sure that I could read up on it because I have the service manual for this. I'm sure I could read on it on how that's actually done. I'm sure somebody out there who's watching this would know. But obviously the miles are stored now. The miles are stored in several spots on these cars. One is being the ECM, the other one is obviously here. And if you have something like a Grand Prix, that's actually stored in the DIC rather than in the cluster. So very interesting. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang this on the wall with a 14 volt power supply and display it. I think it's pretty neat. I'm not really sure why the temperature is reading like 180. There shouldn't be any data coming across it at all, so I'm not really sure why that is, but maybe that's where it was resting beforehand. Who knows? Anyway, I thought this was pretty cool to show you guys this working. It is not CAN bus. It's actually still standard OBD data, so it's not CAN bus. I don't believe, well, the Bonneville I don't believe ever got CAN bus. I think the Grand Prix started getting CAN bus in 2006 or 2007. I can't remember exactly, but 05, 06, 07 is right around the area when all the manufacturers moved over to CAN, and This is still the old school pre-can stuff, so pretty easy to power it on and just kind of let it do its thing. So pretty cool. Yeah, this thing had 156,000 miles on it when it was wrecked, and if I recall, the car was T-boned. If I recall correctly, the car was T-boned because I remember the passenger side was all squished in. So there were some other things that I wanted to grab, but I didn't have the tools, and I just had a basic tool set in the car that I was driving, and that's kind of where I was able to pull this thing. So at any rate, I think it's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna hang it and just let it sit here and just be on display. I think it's pretty neat. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Take care.